So forget about the debate last night and the role of the questioners versus the question. I want to focus now on how the media has since covered the big event. And depending on what publication you look at, they might have looked at it differently than you did, because a lot of people felt that there was a media pile-on, and there were still others who felt that with the mainstream media reviews after the fact, it continued. Did it? Let's ask Boston Herald's Adriana Cohen, Democratic strategist, Naomi Khan. All right. Adriana, your take, not so much on what happened last night, but the media reaction to what happened last night. What do you think?
Well, I think the big loser of the debate was CNBC, the moderators. They clearly engaged in media bias. There's no question about that. And they took a lot of heat for it today, as they should. There's no doubt about it.
All right, but I don't want to make this about CNBC. I don't want to make it about the debate. I want you to focus on the spin that it got today and throughout the mainstream media, that these candidates were the ones who botched it and that it was a sham. I think I'm getting to the gist.
That is completely unfair. In my Boston Herald column I put out today, I said the big loser of the debate was CNBC moderators who blatantly engaged in media bias. I mean, I can count at least 10 examples right now during the night where they attempted to belittle and demean.
That's not what I'm talking about, and I'm going to take a Pope Francis role and say, who am I to judge? I am going to ask you, Naomi, not about what happened last night. What happened about the media coverage of it? Because when I see media coverage of Democratic debates, and let's say it's Hillary Clinton, it's always glowing, it's always fawning. That's fine if that's the way you want to go. When I see media coverage of Republican debates, it needn't be this one, it could have been on any prior, not so much. Not so much. What do you think?
You know, I think that we live in a partisan world. Everyone has their echo chamber. With the internet, everyone can speak to their audience, and certain news publications can spin their message one way, and other news publications can spin their message another way. And so you have these echo chambers that aren't speaking to each other until they get on stage during these debates.
If I were to read the media coverage of what happened last night of that debate, which I watched, then I'm looking at it and wondering, did they watch the same debate?
It depends on how you look at it. I don't think they did as poorly as people are saying. I think that they asked tough questions,
I'm not talking about the tough questions. I'm talking about
the coverage is saying
whether there is a gap between how the media covers and reviews a Republican debate versus Democratic debate. Now,
I don't think so.
Adriana, maybe you can help me. That's where I find the distinction.
Yes, so Democrat hacks, media hacks are going to say CNBC didn't do anything wrong. They asked tough questions. People who are more neutral or right-leaning are going to defend the Republicans and say they were treated unfairly. So I think we see that divide even in media. But there's no question, if you look at some of the questions that were asked of these candidates, they would never be asked. The Democrat candidates like Hillary Clinton were not asked these questions. Senator Barack Obama were not asked these questions. They were demeaning. They were belittling. They were asked these certain questions with the attempt to discredit the presidential candidates.
The
like take Donald Trump, for example.
Of the candidates, though. The questions
Guys, I am begging you, if you start critiquing the questions, that I'm going to get rid of both of you. I tell you why. Because that's not what interests me. What interests me is how it gets collectively reviewed. And all I'm saying is, if you were not prone to have watched the interview, period, you would not know. Whereas when I see oftentimes Democratic debates reviewed, and I looked through a batch of them with Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama, then Joe Biden was in the race, and John Edwards, in the great old days, they were largely Lincoln Douglas affairs, by and large. These ones with Republicans, it's like the clown car. And I'm just saying, either both are clown cars or they're both Lincoln Douglas. But I just think it gets a little weird when we start parsing who are the real thespians and the great Mount Rushmore candidates.
But do you think that it's the partisan nature of the reviewers? I mean, there are two sides.
Yes, I do. Hello. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
We speak in these echo chambers. I agree with you, but that's the world we live in today. People only want to listen to the commentary that they want to hear. And so it's an echo chamber.
Yeah. All right. Go ahead. Finish that thought.
But journalists are supposed to be politically neutral. They're supposed to be fair and balanced. And the whole point of doing this debate was to help Republican voters sitting at home talk about the substantive issues so that they can help figure out which one of these candidates on stage, the 15, they want to vote for. But instead, the candidates engaged in putting candidates down, trying to discredit them. John Harwood.
Let's not push. Again, you failed to do what your assignment was. Post the fact, not the debate. I kid with both of you, but thank you very, very very much, Joanne.
Thank you, Neil.
There'll be nothing gained here, when media judge media. I'm not out to do that as much as I am just a consistent theme after an event, a Republican event versus a Democratic event. All I'm saying is, if you're going to be easy to one side, be easy to the other side. If you're going to be hard on one side, then be hard on the other side, and cover it and critique it that way. And when it's not done, it does kind of stand out. It does stand out.